Definitely. Filipe Toledo under the spotlight at some of the high performance locations on the Championship Tour schedule, but always under the microscope when he gets to the heavy water locations like Cloudbreak.
A lot has to do with everything before you stand up. It's tough out there. It's kind of a shifty wave. It's not a black and white situation where you just take off on a wave easily.
Well, this is Dusty Payne, 27 years of age, driving up into this first section and just getting his timing a little wrong there. He goes down. So Filipe assumes priority out there at the ledge. Well, let's hope we see a big old set roll through. See what the 21-year-old can do with it.
And you mentioned that ledge, Ronnie. That's what we're kind of missing a little bit from the last heat. It looked like the boys were out of rhythm a bit. It's tough to find it, but if you can get back there, that's where the barrel is.
Well, Filipe here on a wave, he is hoping builds through this inside section. Just a clean vertical approach on that last turn. Not a huge amount of water being thrown though once he got to the lip. As he works this one over. Pretty tricky wave to surf here with a lot of foam on the face. He'll kick out way down the line. And really just looked like he was trying to find his feet out there on that one, Ross.
I'd have to agree. He had to have known that was, I don't want to say it was a waste of time, but you know, he's going to know that's not going to be a big score. The judge is very deliberate with kind of simplifying the criteria today. It's all about getting deep in the barrel for a long time.
And I guess that was a pretty good example too of why the microscope goes onto Filipe at these kind of locations. There's something about Filipe when he gets to those destinations that he knows are a weakness for him, where the white flag just goes up a little bit. He looks a little bit more susceptible and definitely not on the attack as much as he is generally when you see him at places like Trestles, Snapper Rocks, and on the beach break locations, Brazil and France and Portugal. And generally surfs with a lot of confidence. But this is Dusty now using his priority, just stalling to start this ride off. Then he tucks in. These waves still clamping a little bit, hoping they really start to hollow out throughout the day. But still, may as well be zeros on the board for these two competitors. Scores that they're going to get rid of by the end of this heat. 25.5 minutes to go. And a huge shift up as far as the swell goes. 8 consecutive lay days. The swell started to fill in yesterday afternoon, so most of the competitors got themselves out here to Cloudbreak and got themselves into some decent rides, finding the right equipment for this third round. As Filipe looks to scratch into this one, and he does just that. But doesn't look too invested in this ride. A lot of foam on the face again. And there is a huge advantage for Dusty Payne, because Filipe took that ride just past Dusty, utilised his priority, and the scale's been pulled right back. Gabriel Medina had a great first heat, reasonable heat score total, but not out of this world. And then Michelle just squeaking through with one of the lowest winning heat score totals we've probably seen all year. So Kelly will be paying really close attention to that. But this is certainly an event where Kelly looks really at home. Obviously, after all those years, Ross competing it.
Very mellow. You know, Kelly's not one to need too much information. He's, you know, kind of a solo warrior.
Well, getting back to the heat in the lineup, Filipe Toledo with our priority finds this one, goes gunning down the line. Thought he might have gone looking for the tube there, but that one was clamping up big time as he gets out of there. Water Patrol will pick him up, racing back to the top of the reef. And it's a solid cast. Put in that position, the Water Patrol, Kai Garcia heading up the team, John Cummings, lifeguard from the Gold Coast and a great surfer, Kamalani Ahui, and this looks like Dusty Payne. These competitors both look like they're struggling to figure it out at the moment. But Dusty gets a bit of open wall to work with. Looks like he's swinging around that piece of step-up equipment pretty nicely.
That looked nice, didn't it? That one snap got a really perfect amount of rail involved there. It's just a clean little snap for Dusty, which will feel good if he needs to go to turns. Board looks nice, but you're right. I would say they're bordering on irritated right now. They want to get that nice no-brainer set that comes in where you know you're in the right spot and just drop straight into the barrel.
17 and a half minutes ago, Strider Wasilewski out there in the channel. Strider, you know the Water Patrol team very well. All the competitors feeling really comfortable with the assembled crew. And hoping we see bigger numbers drop for both competitors. Plenty of swell out here in the lineup as Dusty looks to put away a big one. Grabs that rail, drops his body into the wall of the wave. Does get some cover and gets puffed out before the wave pinches and clamps down on him. So this will be the highest scoring ride of the heat so far, with 13 minutes to go. We had a feeling that Dusty's tube riding ability on the backhand might be the difference in this heat, but I don't know, Ross, I'm not expecting a huge score for that wave.
Yeah, I'm keen to see the replay. He did get properly barreled. He got behind the curtain. I think everything disappeared. That's kind of a nice test. It was a tricky wave, though. There's still some bump on the wave. It's not, really clean. There's the bump. He's handling it. And he did. He disappeared for maybe even 2 seconds. So where the scale's set for this heat, he's going to find himself in a pretty comfortable lead. Dealing with that bump, dragging his front knee in the wall there, Ronnie. You see that? Trying to slow himself down. And he did a good job because he had to wrangle his board and really, kind of handle all those bumps. It was a tough little barrel.
You really see the texture that Michel Perez was talking about in his post-heat interview from that angle, that water angle, on a set wave. And they're just giving themselves plenty of room to move. And I don't mind that. Just over 10 and a half minutes to go as Dusty looks for a backup now. Nice looking wall. Starts it with a float, but with all that bump on the face, he goes down awkwardly. Filipe, the body language just suggesting that he's starting to get a little frustrated with the conditions at the moment. That
was weird, wasn't it? I think maybe that was deliberate. He's trying to drift further down the point. I think there's a little bit of a reverse rip pulling him up the reef. And that looked like a really awkward wipeout for Dusty. He kind of fell on his shoulders on the deck of his board. But it seems like he's paddling back out okay. But a very awkward wipeout here. So he's going to float the boat, get up on that lip, and he's going to get bumped up right there. Ow, you can see that he bumped back up. I want to say he even hit his ribs on the deck of his board. Take a look at his stomach. Right there, he bounced back up.
I always get nervous when Dusty goes down awkwardly like that because he's had a lot of dramas with his knees, ankles over the years, plagued by injury, and it might be what's held him back at the CT level. But at the moment in a pretty good position on the ratings as we see Filipe up. Clean wall to work with. Just a high line trim to get himself down onto this steeper part of the wall. Winding through a nice backhand carve. Made that last turn look a little more exciting than what it maybe was, dropping out of the lip. But again, these guys are scrapping with small numbers at the moment. The damage you could do to yourself in that situation?
Not really. And you have, what, maybe a half a second to kind of feel the reef with your feet as you stand up, and hopefully it's flat. But the alternative wasn't good either. If he would have stayed on his board, he would have raked his fins off, or, he was just in a sketchy situation there.
Well, let's check out the replay of this ride and break it down, Ross. Is there any major points in this ride?
Little speed hook there, so no points yet. Filipe, you can see he's looking for maneuvers. So a bit of a mistake even taking off on this wave. And that maneuver was nice because he committed to a pretty hollow section there. But with the way the scale's set right now, it can't be too hefty of a number.
Well, it dropped in at a 3.5. Was the risk worth the reward on the inside? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all relative, isn't it? You think 3.5, but right now, with how low the scores are, I think he'll take that. Last bump right here. Dusty needs to chase Filipe down.
Well, Well, here we go. Dusty Payne's not going to go this way. Filipe's not in a position. He didn't paddle for it, so still has that priority. And Filipe will be disappointed because really all the advantage for Dusty was taken away with not a lot of tube rides on offer. And Filipe's got a pretty sharp backhand, but he just hasn't been able to put it to use.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible he could have taken this heat out with some maneuvers, but that slight edge we gave Dusty was the difference, wasn't it? That 4.5, that was a pretty decent score.
Another low-scoring heat, but the 27-year-old from Maui is going to be moving on through to round 4, and it sets up a very interesting round 4 heat.